I warned you, Seth. I told you, don't make a vid. But you know what? I kind of expected you to. I want to be as respectful as possible because I want to end this. Okay. My point, maybe I didn't explain it as much on why Rock being a third-generation wrestler was okay. A, you said, what if Brock was a third-generation wrestler? Well, he wasn't. And what do you say? What if Rock left after 2 years? Well, he didn't. Right there, flawed point. But it's okay because The Rock was with the business for years. He liked doing it. Like I said, he watched the matches when he was a kid. He did wrestling movies on his friends. He liked the sport. It just wasn't his number one ideal. But you know what? He was still a third-generation wrestler. He knew all about the sport. He knew the ins and outs of the sport. He knew what it took to be successful. And when he was in the sport, he enjoyed doing it. And that's why he stayed for 8 years. You can make the argument, well, Brock had passion for other things. Well, you know what? Brock stayed after 2 years. You know, 2 years, really. Rock stayed after 8, maybe 9. Debatable. So, like I said, Rock was a third-generation wrestler being okay because, like I said, he watched it ever since he was a kid. He's been to the matches. He knew about the business. Brock probably didn't know. Brock, we all know, is not a third-generation wrestler, not even a second. Didn't know much about the ins and outs. Like I said, I guess I shouldn't have. I guess I should have explained more. But the Rock being third-generation wrestler is okay because he freaking loved the business ever since he was a kid. Okay. Okay, you say Vince doesn't give the belt to people who don't have passion. Let me tell you of a man by the name of the Ultimate Warrior. I won't say he had passion because that'll start a huge revolt on YouTube. But that man was in it for the money too. I've seen a lot of shooting interviews of people going crazy. WWE made a freaking video saying how they didn't like the Ultimate Warrior. Jake Roberts said in his video that the Ultimate Warrior told him one day, "You better do what I say because I'm here for money and I don't care what the hell you want to do." I saw that in the Pick Your Poison DVD. A lot of people bash the Warrior. Vince gave that man a 9-month title reign. So don't say that Vince won't give the belt to someone just because he doesn't have passion or he's in there for the money, because I find it highly untrue. Kevin Nash was all about the money. Vince gave him a year title reign. Well, not a year, like 6 or 7 months. Vince has given the belt to many people who weren't there just because they loved wrestling so much. You think Vince is all nice and dandy? No, Vince is a cutthroat person. Vince would easily give the belt to anyone he wants. And we both know it's true. Brock Lesnar was huge. Brock Lesnar, well, we don't know if he did or didn't do steroids, but Brock Lesnar was freaking ripped. And Vince loves huge men. Vince loves huge men. We all know that Vince has this special gay addiction love to guys with huge muscles. So don't say that he won't give it to someone. I think every big man in the WWE at this point who's gotten far enough in their careers has held the title. Taker, Kane, Big Show. Umaga wasn't there long enough, but Umaga easily could win the title in a year or two if he had stayed. Rikishi, he didn't give him the title, but he put him in the main event spot for like a good portion of the year in 2000. So yeah, people who are big do go far in the WWE. It's a fact. If you're a slightly good enough wrestler, you can do well. Big Show was doing fine. Big Show actually wasn't that bad when he came in 1999 because he had a very good career in WCW. Okay, you said it yourself. You proved my entire point when you said shitty matches equals no money. Hello? Isn't that why Brock never had a shitty match? Isn't that why Brock had to perform at his best or else he wouldn't get money? You said it for me. You said in your video, if you have a bad match, you don't make money. Well, you know what? Maybe Brock wanted to make money. That's why he never had a bad match. Okay, you say that just because he was an amateur wrestler, that automatically means that he had passion for the wrestling business. No, that does not mean it at all. There are plenty of people who play college football and don't go to the NFL because they choose not to, because they do it for recreation. Let's face it, amateur wrestling and pro wrestling are two different things. Do they have similarities? Yes, but in the mainstream, like in the main scheme of things, you know what? They're two different things. You can't assume just because Brock did amateur wrestling, that means he automatically loves professional wrestling. You know how many amateur wrestlers are there in the United States? There's a shitload of every single college. There's at least a lot of people. I'd say about 2% of them do professional wrestling. So, what about the other 98%, Seth? How come they didn't get into professional wrestling? You say more. Oh yeah, you said that just because Brock had passions for other things. Well, you know what? I told you this, and I said this so many times. If your number one priority, if your number one passion wasn't wrestling, then it's not like, you know, the top passion. If you have passions for other things, not just one thing, for other things over wrestling, then you don't have the real big passion that you need to be the main guy of a company. If you have other passions, there's not one guy in WWE who's the main guy there who I can say with a straight face he has other passions besides WWE. Undertaker had a huge passion for basketball, a huge passion. You know what? He chose wrestling over it. And that proves to me that that was his real passion. If you have other passions, then you know what? Wrestling won't be your really true passion. I'm sorry that I'm trying to be disrespectful. You know how I get. Like the money. You say that just because that Brock, that you can pay off your loans in 1 year. You know what? Loans are expensive. There are some people who go 16 years for out of college who still haven't paid their loans. And I'm not talking like they're hobos. I'm talking these people are, you know, salesmen, even big law firm guys. They have to wait a long time. Loans are really expensive. Do you know what's the tuition for colleges? Maybe Brock did pay his loans in 1 year. But, hello. Let's see, if I was working and I made all this money in 1 year, then if I stayed a little longer, I can make more money and I can gain more money. It's not a bad thing. Rey Mysterio almost left the WWE because of money. He felt that he could make more in Mexico than he could, and which we all know that's true. But does that mean Rey has no passion for wrestling? No, we know he has a diehard passion for wrestling. Don't think you think it's bad to think of Brock's the guy who liked money. No, it's not so bad. You're just gonna, because you think it'll make us think that he's just grub, you know, he cares about. In my opinion, he wanted the money for his college loans and stuff, but it's not that big of a deal just to stay for money. I mean, don't think that he's an evil guy just because he stayed for money. Lots of famous faces do it all the time. That's why there's so many contract disputes, because of money. It's not a big deal. So, yes, I do believe that Brock stayed an extra year knowing how much more money he could have made. And don't think that obviously you probably don't want to think that because you think that'll make Brock sound like a bad guy when a lot of people do it. Yes, Brock had good matches. I talked about that. Money. Maybe he liked doing it at one point, but if he had other passions over that, then no real passion in the first place. You can't, if you find it's nice to have other passions, let them die out. Rock tried his other passions, and when they didn't work, then he went to wrestling. And when he was in wrestling, at that time, number one priority was wrestling. Brock didn't do that, and that was a mistake. I think Brock should have tried out for the Vikings first. Probably got cut again in the first year. Maybe given UFC a shot, even though he probably never would have gotten into wrestling. But let's say it didn't work out. He could have stayed in the WWE, and in my opinion, he would have been here for a long time. But he did it. So, yeah. First of all, also, you said Foley had no passion just because he was about to leave. Trust me, Foley had passion. I read the man's book. He wanted to do well in that match. It was his last match. Why would you want to underperform in your last match? If it was my last match, I want to do all the stops. Ric Flair, in my opinion, that was Ric Flair's best match in the 21st century. His match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. There might be another one. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. So, his match with Triple H in 2003 was also good. So, he obviously wanted to go all out for his last match. So, why would you think Foley would want to go all out? You say that a match can be bad if all the members don't have passion. Like I said, Warrior, it's debatable whether he had passion or not. Some people say yes, some people say no. He had a good match with Hogan. He had a good match with Savage, even though I didn't think it was so great. So, there you go on that one. Also, if you're good enough, like if you're a Shawn Michaels can have a good match with anyone. He can easily have a good match with someone who doesn't have passion, and we both know that's true. I'm sorry, I know Brock's your favorite wrestler, and you really don't like to go against him. But you know what? I've said it before, I've said it again. He had passions for other things that just trumped his passion for wrestling. And that means he never had the big passion that I wanted to have in the first place. You really don't have to make another vid, Seth. You really don't. Big Red 310. I'm out. Peace.